Good evening, everyone. It is October 26, 2023, and uh, another fairly negative session across the indices. The S&P and Nasdaq doing much worse than the Russell and the Dow. The NQ and the ES were gapping down. They had external trading hours gaps that didn't end up filling actually, uh, and then RTH gap downs as well. Whereas the Dow and the Russell were able to fill those external trading hours gaps and actually open inside of value. I think the Russell barely broke yesterday's low, instead actually putting in some really strangely high volume. It didn't even break the low of the year from back in October, that being around 162.5, putting in some surprising volumes for a doji session. Um, ES and NQ spent pretty much the entire session. I'm not sure what's happening here. NQ and the ES spent the entire session below the open, unable to really get anywhere, and the Dow was, for the most part, just kind of sideways, not really getting anywhere. Yeah, we broke that Monday low finally, and yeah, we did go down, but uh, it it wasn't as bad of a sell-off as the ES and the Nasdaq, not really getting that far below these prior lows. Um, Tomorrow, pre-market, we do have the core PCE number coming up. I'm sure that'll shake up the market a ton. And then 10 o'clock, the revised University of Michigan consumer sentiment stuff. So for tomorrow, here's what I'm thinking. I mentioned this yesterday or a couple days ago that this high close on this Tuesday session, if we were to break that low, we're setting up for David Paul's surprise attack. And I mean, it worked perfectly. We broke that low and we had 2 days of really strong selling. Um, Funny enough, uh, it's resulted in 2 days of strong selling with a very low close. And this isn't just on the Nasdaq. This is on the S&P. This is on the Dow. This is on the not on the Russell, but it's on the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the S&P. So here's what I'm thinking. I will likely close my swings short if we're able to break that day's high, and then I'll be getting long on the Dow. If the Dow is able to take out this high tomorrow, that can get into whatever it is, 331. The idea being is that the COT was showing the Dow as being the most heavily shorted index out of all these guys. The Dow report will be coming based off Tuesday's close. So it'll be coming after all this selling happened since last Tuesday. And I imagine it'll show that there's a strong short position. So not only will we have the price action of David Paul's surprise attack setup with the low close on a second day, we'll also know that people are positioned extremely short biased. So we might be able to get a decent short covering rally going. These waterfall stages, these sort of stages where we're just selling relentlessly, these are very difficult to trade. Just like the end of a markup phase is very hard to trade. It feels like you cannot hop on shorts quickly enough intraday. Then this thing squeezes in your face. It's a very hard, it's a very difficult thing to be trading back and forth. Let's go into the intraday stuff. Here we go. Here's the S&P. I'm fairly short biased. Idea being is that we're once again likely opening below all structure. I need to see where this thing ends up. Can we get into value area low 4163 during this overnight session? I doubt we'll get into the value area high around 4200, but can we get into value area low? Can we dip below the close? Can we possibly trade below the daily low during external trading hours? Can we do this kind of stuff? Other than that, we're below all structure. If I pull this up, sorry for all the other indicators, but we're below the open. That is settlement low, settlement close, weekly open, all sorts of stuff. We're below all the major structures. So I want to be short, possibly somewhere around here. This being around the IB low, this seemed to be the important level. I think this is around 4170 to 80 on the ES. This is 4200 up here above, and I think you start to run into some issues. This is the open from today as well as settlement lows. I think this thing ends up squeezing above here. We get back inside this Monday swing lows area, and I think this ends up being the critical area to hold for shorts from 419 up to 421s. Near that weekly open, this is where we had the inventory pile up and then sell off into the end of the day on Wednesday. Assuming we open, let's say, around 415, let's call this a potential low of the day. That'd be about a $5 move, and that's these days that seems to be kind of the average. I think today was around a $5 move, 572. So I think that seems like a reasonable high of day spot somewhere around this 419 to 420 area. On the Qs, I am more short biased, and that is simply given just how shit these things have been performing. I don't want to be short above the weekly open, but this is where I'm looking at mostly, getting short around the close or the daily low, the IB low, or the T+2 low over here, or this prior Monday swing low, or the IB low from Wednesday. On the Dow, completely opposite scenario. This thing has been incredibly bid. If we go back to the higher time frame chart here, you can see that, oh, come on, where are you? Here. I can't find it. But maybe if I go like this, there we go, daily chart. That's all I wanted to show. This thing spent quite a bit of, it had quite the ability to stay above Monday's swing low, is what I'm trying to get at. And I imagine in a case where the rest of the market finally catches some sort of bid, this thing will be leading us. If my screen would load, that'd be great. Anyway, there we go. So I'm willing to take this thing long anywhere from today's close, prior day's low, value area low somewhere around here, perhaps the IB low or whatever this sort of level was, kind of lines up with the Monday low, or above the weekly open. I think all this sort of stuff is great. I think we break these highs as well. The daily high from today, as well as sort of these afternoon highs, and we get into over here this sort of whatever this is. I don't even remember. There you go. There's a settlement open there. I guess that'd be settlement highs, all that sort of stuff. I think the prior week's low is somewhere around here as well. So I think we end up holding it down there, but I would be looking for the Dow to be the long ticker, and then finally the rusty. This looks like a decent spot. There we go. I would be willing to play this thing long as well, which may be a little bit surprising given how crappy it's performed for the past week or so, but today it really showed evidence of bids. While the ES and NQ were trading below the open for the majority of the session, this thing in the afternoon, here was the open on Thursday today, we were able to trade above that open quite a bit and put in a doji candle, which is productive while the rest of the market had a down day. So that's about it. That's how I'm looking at this thing. And I think we could get up to last week's low, maybe a sell there, maybe a sell over here at that prior yearly low. I think it's 167.46. Anyway, a lot more detail. Perhaps this will be the theme from now on. I may actually be trading the Russell and the Dow from now on, just because there are some days where there's clearly a stronger ticker. The Dow on Wednesday was just so obviously the stronger ticker. I took this as a paper trade, this long here. It frickin' mooned up to a new high of the day. Whereas you look at the NASDAQ at that same time. So what was that? That was around 10:30. Look at this thing at 10:30. It barely got anywhere. It didn't get near the high of the day. It stayed around the half back. So clearly there are days where there's a stronger ticker, and I want to be playing that. Anyway, Hope that makes sense. Hope that helps. I'm strongly waiting for the PCE numbers to come out and see where we open on these indices. Again, if we are able to take out today's high of the day on the Dow, I'll be getting long there. My stop on the swing short on the Qs is currently at this day's high as well. So if that goes out, I'm stopped in profit, and on the Dow, I'll be hitting along. Have a great night. Trade safe.